Test. Test, test. Tick, 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 tick. Tick, tick, tick. How's that? How are those levels? Mic up a little bit? Tick, tick, tick. That's good? Okay. I'm gonna set everything like this. Okay, okay.
Hello, hello. Yep. Good. Hello, it is Wednesday, October 23rd. We are coming to you live from our box truck in Houston, Texas. We just landed about... You gotta turn my mic down, Ty. We just landed about 45 minutes ago. Things are going swimmingly, going smooth. Checked into the hotel, got into the box truck, and now we get a chance to deliver 2 hours of incredible sports talk. World Series last night. Oh my G. What a game. What an electric atmosphere. The World Series is one where every single ball, every single pitch matters. Ty Schmidt gave us 2 locks, only one of them hit, which means one thing and one thing alone. My Thor hammer will only be used on football games from now on. We can't risk that thing having a loss ever.
No way.
The integrity of the hammer is that whenever I bust out my hammer and I swing that thing, it has to be a lock for the folks that are gambling at FanDuel.com/McAfee. The LA Lakers started out rough last night. They actually had a pretty good start and then just pooped all over themselves in the fourth quarter in the Battle of LA and the Battle of the West potentially. I'll dive into that a little bit. A lot of trades coming. A lot of reaction from teammates of players getting traded saying this is a bunch of bull. People don't like it in Detroit. The Detroit Lions are they giving up, Foxy? Foxy's microphone's off, so he can't say a single thing. We'll talk about that. We'll dive into everything. All I need to know right now is that we're going to have an incredible Wednesday, and this show starts the same as every other one. Foxy, play some Chase Rice.
It's the perfect occasion for a little vacation from the heart of the nation. Not your medication, 2 hours of magic. Let's give it a go. Ladies and gents, it's the Pat McAfee Show. It's the Pat McAfee Show.
Yes, it is Chase Rice. Almost just blew my ears out with that from Chase Rice. And if it's going to be anybody just blowing out the eardrums of your ears, we're thankful that it's Chase Rice. Joining us in the box truck right now, at Todd McComas is here. Todd, great to see you on the road, pal.
Hey, it's great to be on the road. It's great to be on. Thank you.
We're not sure which microphone is on for Todd. Todd came because he's a lifelong baseball fan, and we're getting a chance to go to the World Series tonight thanks to our friends at DAZN, which is syndicating and simulcasting this around the globe. Can't wait to get in there in the old ballpark and experience that live action. At Viva Lazito is here. He'll be playing the music for the first break at least, unless he gets fired. At Evan Foxy's back there, the voice of the Lions. And Ty Schmidt's back there just finger fornicating all these buttons to figure out what is going on and what is happening. Couple things happening in the NFL that need to be talked about. Shout out to Emmanuel Sanders getting out of Denver, going to the San Francisco 49ers. John Elway was very interesting whenever he spoke about this thing. He said everybody in that locker room knows what happened. What happened after the Titans game, something happened. I want to know what Emmanuel Sanders did after the Titans game in the Broncos locker room that made John Elway say, everybody knew this was coming, everybody knows what the expectation is now, and we're going to ship him out so everybody understands the standard here as a Denver Bronco. He alluded to the fact that he was almost selfish enough for the team. I sent a couple of texts to my friends within the Broncos organization. Nobody has responded to me. This is life now that I'm a media member. I can't get any inside tips because nobody wants me to get on my show like I am right now, either very loud in your radio or very quiet in your radio because we don't know the volume levels right now, and say this is what happened. They're going to keep that tight lip probably for about another week or two, and then somebody will get in there. Somebody will weasel their way in there. Emmanuel Sanders will have a big game for the 49ers. He'll have a massive thing with Jimmy G. The 49ers will continue their dominance. And somebody will be like, well, why didn't we see this in Denver? And then a story will leak like, oh, hey, he tried to fight a coach. Something like that will happen. Like, well, after the game, he didn't get the ball enough. He wasn't happy. Something is going to come out about Emmanuel Sanders after that Titans game. The story will be slowly released, and I'm excited to hear it eventually. I have no idea what it is, but as a member of the media now, I'm pumped to hear what it is. Because it might be something super petty. Might be something super, super petty. We have no idea what it is. He has to be happy, though, that he's out of there. Because if he was unhappy, this is yet again a player not happy in a situation, getting moved to a situation where he's probably much happier. John Lynch over there wheeling and dealing, getting Emmanuel Sanders. And then Nino from the Lions, starting safety, moves out of town. See you later. Go to the Seahawks. All of the Detroit Lions players are like, this is not cool. This is not cool. We are not happy about this. This is garbage, which is very interesting. Because is there a rift now in the Detroit Lions organization? Last year, they said that Matt Patricia lost the locker room. Has he officially lost the locker room now? Social media would tell us that that is the case. Ty, how's it going back there?
I mean, literally nothing. Or either you're way too overmodulated or you're quiet. So I think for the next 2 hours, I'm just going to have to twist and turn these things every time you speak. So...
Speaking of twisting and turning, that's what it feels like is happening in the Detroit Lions locker room. Matt Patricia said he wanted his guys in there. He wanted to build a new way of operation for the Detroit Lions, wanted to turn the team around. Now it seems like they're taking a step back. I would have faith in Matt Patricia, though, just as a guy that I got a chance to talk with who roams with a pencil in his ear, a Ticonderoga, and a dry erase marker everywhere he goes, just in case he wants to write a play up on a glass table or a glass wall. I would trust him, even though their record is not great right now. What are you, 2-3-1, I believe?
Yes, sir.
Right before that Vikings game, a lot of people were talking about how, although the Lions do not have the best record in the NFC North, they are the best team in the NFC North.
Kurt Warner tweeted that.
Kurt Warner, pretty noted football guy.
Said they should be 5-0, and I agree.
You feel that way now?
No, because it's the Detroit Lions, Pat. They're the most consistent team in the NFL.
So it's only a matter of time before Detroit Lions fans turn on the Detroit Lions, and it feels like now is that time with this trade not being liked. So we got a guy going out of Detroit who's a starter. We got a wide receiver out of Denver going to the Niners. We got a lot of things cooking in the NFL, but the one that is very much intriguing to me that was brought to our attention yesterday by a caller. Somebody called in our show and said, hey, Tom Brady's trainer selling his house. Tom Brady's selling his house. His contract is voidable directly after this year. Tom Brady, this is his last season as a New England Patriot. When he said that, we only had like a minute and a half left in the show. So kind of one in one ear, one out the other. I was like, I don't even know what that means. Now everybody's reporting and talking about this. Schefter's like, well, why is he doing it then? Schefter's yelling on television like Stephen A. Smith. He's like, well, why is this for sale? Why is this for sale? Why is this contract void? What else does that mean? Very interesting to me. And I have no idea if he's going to leave or not. I'm not sure how. Everybody else that's an older player is dying to get to New England. It would be funny to think if Tom Brady was just trying to get the hell out because he's bored with success and wants to go build another franchise without Bill Belichick, which would be very interesting. Let's assume they go on and win a lot of games this year, run into the Colts eventually, and just get, snuffed out in a close game there.
That'd be nice.
That would be nice. Probably up there in Foxborough. In the snow. Quentin Nelson's just railroading folks the whole game, keeping Tom Brady on the sideline, which sets up for an incredible offseason of where's Tom Brady going to go? What's Tom Brady going to do? On the plane ride out here, we sat and talked about this. I think there's 3 potential landing spots for Tom Brady if he was to leave. One of them being the most obvious, and the other 2 kind of questionable. Let's start with the Chicago Bears strictly because it's a big city with a terrible quarterback situation. If you can get a chance to get Tom Brady in a big city in a bad quarterback situation with what seems to be a good defense at one point, that could be a winning team immediately as soon as Tom Brady gets there, just like every other team that Tom Brady would potentially go to. So Chicago Bears, probably number 3. I don't think it's likely. Let's not talk about it. Number 2, Tennessee Titans. His friendship with Mike Vrabel, they're already bouncing around quarterbacks. That team has always been one that's been so close to being successful. In the AFC South, you're going to have the juggernaut of the Colts for the next 10 years. You're going to need a good quarterback. I think he would like Nashville, a lot of country musicians. There's a lot of beautiful people down there. There's a lot of spotlight potentially there. And I think the Titans would, like they did to Peyton, offer him a percentage of the team to come down there. That's a good thing to do. But I think the most obvious answer, and congratulations to this franchise, that I was thinking was going to have to move out of the current city that they inhabit. The Los Angeles Chargers feel like the right answer for where Tom Brady would head to. It's Los Angeles. He's already sold a $50 million home there. Him and Giselle just pick up $50 million houses in L.A. all the time. They have a quarterback whose contract is up, probably going to retire. Phillip Rivers is sick of driving from San Diego to L.A. to San Diego to L.A. The Spanos family, everybody hates them. They offer a percentage of the team to Tom Brady. Tom Brady gets to live in L.A. Bring Josh McDaniels with you to be the head coach. All of a sudden, we're setting up shop. The L.A. Rams, who are a team of distant past now, all the fans in L.A. that are fans of the Rams will burn their jerseys, pick up Chargers jerseys. Now Spanos and the Chargers are the heroes of Los Angeles because they brought in the GOAT of all GOATs, Tom Brady, to lead their team with Josh McDaniels as the head coach. All of a sudden, the Chargers are good at football again. All of a sudden, the Rams are the second team in L.A. And now the Chargers are once again relevant, and I assume on national television at a much more rapid rate. They're selling more than 10,000 tickets. They got everybody out there buying 12 jerseys. They're painting their face with the eye black that Tom Brady does. That's where I think if Tom Brady was to leave New England, where he would go, and it would make sense to everybody if he was to do it. Also get a percentage of that team because that's what Tom Brady does. Oh, that's what I think.
I love this. Tom Brady's the GOAT already. The only thing he has to prove is if he could win without Belichick.
Yeah. Which I assume he would want to do.
He's a savage, so yes.
He's a complete. Tom Brady is a savage.
Yes.
We see that on social media. We see that on the things he likes. We see that the way he plays. He is an absolute savage. I'm not saying he'll leave New England. I don't know why you would. If every player is trying to get to New England. But if you're Tom Brady, you live in a different world. You eat avocado ice cream. You're the best in the history of everything. You're richer than everybody. You're going to live forever with the TB12 treatment. Tom Brady thinks differently than everybody else. If he ends up as the Los Angeles Charger, he saves a franchise, kind of like a Batman-type situation going into Los Angeles. I mean, that's a quick way to spin your legacy into not only being the greatest of all time, but a savior in a city of angels.
I don't think there's any losing here either. If he does it and it fails, who cares? He retires.
He's just like LeBron, went to L.A. to stink.
Yes.
That guy stinks,
Well,
by the way.
Oh.
I am done with him.
Who, LeBron?
I'm done with him.
Well, you didn't like his antics last night?
Everything. Now, Tom Brady, the difference between Tom Brady and LeBron is Tom Brady will go there, and Tom Brady is so competitive. Although he has the TB12 treatment and the TB12 facilities, and he does have a business on the side, he's not worried about all of the extra curricular activities. He's not going to start like 7 shows. He's not going to do all this stuff, which, by the way, good businessman LeBron is. I think he makes a lot of money off the court. He's already established enough that he's one of the greatest of all time to play basketball. But he went to Los Angeles and he's become very difficult to like. He's become a very difficult person to like. I was a diehard LeBron James fan.
Yeah.
Since high school. I watched him in high school. He came in, played against the Pennsylvania All-Stars just as high school, and he dunked from the foul line on some little white kid from my high school.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that guy's really good at basketball. I like that guy.
Yeah.
Had a shoe deal, was driving a Hummer, the whole thing. Went to Cleveland, then he went to Miami, back to Cleveland. He's a hero, saved the day, out to L.A. No team. Shows up drunk to the court. Starts doing ridiculous things on the basketball court and an NBA court. Not something that the greatest of all time would do. Kind of gave up, took a vacation year, which makes sense because you've been in the playoffs for so long. You played more basketball than everybody else. Take a year off when you get to L.A. Do what you got to do. Start a couple shows. Get mad at Magic Johnson. Do whatever you got to do. But this year, he got his guy. He's got Anthony Davis. He's got his guy. He's got a team. Got a new coach. Then he tries to copyright Taco Tuesday. Then the China stuff, which just makes him look like an absolute buffoon. Then he starts yelling during the national anthem, and then they lose. It's just like Bron. This was not a game that you could do after everything you've done the last couple months that have made it very difficult to like you. It has been very difficult to like you, LeBron. I respect everything. You have a very clean record, right? You're a kid that came from little to nothing, made it big time. You've become a person, though, that is tough to like. Yeah. Very difficult to like. And I mean that with incredible sincerity. As a guy that loved LeBron, and with the China stuff happening just recently where everybody was attacking him, I thought last night he was going to come out and possibly drop 60 to 70. I thought he was going to remind everybody what's going on. Bang, bang. He was yelling before the game during the national anthem. I was like, oh, man, he is about to drop like 90 points tonight. He's about to do it. And then they lose. It's like, yo. All this can't happen, and then you lose, too. It can't happen. Now, granted, first game of like 400 games, I understand it, but it's becoming tough to like LeBron.
Yeah, and I would never say that, because he took a lot of heat when people were saying just, shut up and dribble, and I would never say that. But at this point, like, LeBron, maybe just shut up and dribble for a while.
That's Ty Schmidt.
Well,
the opinions of Ty do not reflect those of his employer.
I appreciate him trying to, take a stand on certain stuff, but, it's very obvious you have no idea what you're talking about, and you're just shooting yourself in the foot and making yourself look like an idiot. So, I mean, maybe just take a step back, focus on the ball for a little bit, and then, and then reevaluate.
What if all the GOATs just kind of their way over to Los Angeles, right? Tom Brady just like, I'll go over there. LeBron, I'll go over there. Kawhi, I'll go over there. That city of angels where the weather is perfect, there might be an earthquake any given day, is quite a destination for a lot of people. Has it made everybody better that's gone over there? No. Will Tom Brady be the outlier if he was to go and just dominate? Yes, I would assume that's what Tom Brady would do. But it's going to be interesting to see whenever the East Coast bias has to meet the L.A. goatness. That's going to be very interesting to kind of watch that all come together. And we'll be here to talk about it all. I mean, that's just the way it goes. We'll be able to talk about it all. It is now 10:16 on this beautiful Wednesday, October 23rd. Massive interview for Heartland Radio 2.0 today, the podcast. I would recommend listening to it guy named Jay Dobbins, also known as Jay Bird, was the first federal agent to ever infiltrate the Hells Angels. Todd McComas, the boys, and I got a chance to chat with him for like 30, 45 minutes. It was amazing to listen to this story. We have to get to a break. We have no music because we don't have any sound. But whenever we get back, we have Josh sitting in this hour. And I would also like to chit-chat about the World Series a little bit. It was pretty massive what happened last night. The Astros give one up at home to the team of destiny, the Washington Nationals. And when I say this, I mean this. Hammer the Astros tonight. We're going to be in the building, and I'm an Astros fan for one night and one night only. I think they're going to get a win. I have no idea what that is happening in the background. We'll be back on the other side. This is the Pat McAfee Show.
Yeah. Oh, I think this mic's working now.
Okay.
Does this mic not work?
It does, but I
don't know.
You can come in. Just keep that door shut.
Is there a particular mic I should speak in out of these two?
something, but it
not
sounds like
working
they're
now.
taking the design.
I can hear you. It's kind of faint, though.
Well, that's
I-
the. I can't fucking hear anything. That's the problem. If
Yeah,
I raise
none of
them
these
up and
work,
then
I don't
he
think.
texts me, it
Nah, that
says
one's working.
overmodulated big time. So there's really no. I mean, it's either you can't hear someone at all, or they sound terrible over the radio. So.
So you can hear me on this one.
Yes.
I just can't hear me.
But we
Oh.
couldn't hear you at the beginning, though. So, I mean, it is.
Well, that's what he was telling me, that our mics sound fine, but you can't hear them at all.
Test, test, test. Test, test, test.
They sound fine in the program mix, just not in the headphone mix.
Yeah, but also in the program mix, there's like, if the gain is turned up like a hair, it overmodulates it and just
Okay.
Oh, that was a problem. So I
kills it.
I'm going to blow the speakers out, but.
Oh my God. That's loud.
All those mics are still hot.
You want to lower it down?
You want to lower Mac down? Far in front of this fader.
Hey, Don's asking the questions here.
My computer's not out there.
See
Zito
that
was
what he's
using it.
It's charging because it's dead. My computer was charging right now.
Okay.
Hey, Don's on the.
Alright, I got music connected.
Hey, hang on. So the which feed is good? Our feed is bad, but the other feed is good.
The zone feed's perfect.
Interesting.
I'd say.
Very.
Someone said that they thought that the Comrex was set for mic. It's set for line. Okay. These are the outputs. I wonder if I can adjust this right here. This sound good? Mono in. Let me. I'm gonna adjust this gain on this Comrex. Does this sound good? Okay. I'm gonna hand it back to them, and then I guess shoot me another text if we start to sound bad again. And I'll hop in with the next break.
That a boy, Don. That a boy. Thank you. 30 seconds. Do we have any music?
I got one. I only got. We got this. I can't hear myself at all, so I don't know if I'm live.
You're not. Your mic isn't on.
Okay. So it's just not plugged in.
No, it's not.
10 seconds. Here we go.
Do we have music right now?
Yeah, I got it. On Mac.
Hey.
Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show. Massive technical talk happening during the break there. People in and out of here. A guy I never seen before coming in and out. He's making Ty's life awesome back there. Our guy Don in Culver City is telling us we sounded terrible in that first 15 minutes. We apologize for that. Said some really good stuff. I hope you get a chance to hear it. Listen back. The Colts are still my favorite to win the Super Bowl.
Thank you.
Okay? Colts are still my favorite to win the Super Bowl. But Emmanuel Sanders heading to the San Francisco 49ers definitely should shake the NFC's thoughts just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
In a couple minutes, we'll have Josh sitting at 10:40 to talk about the NFC, which he knows a lot about. Played for the Packers for a long time, played for the Bears. But that move to give Jimmy G a little bit more of a weapon, other than just George Kittle and the ability to run the ball. A lot of people have said about the Niners. They go, you know what, Jimmy G playing average. Jimmy G not playing that good. I think if you add a weapon, that opens up the field a little bit more. I don't know how Jimmy G can be playing average when George Kittle might have 3,000 yards already. I don't know how those two don't really add up together. But that makes the 49ers good. I think that makes the 49ers not good, but better. And I think that's a great trade for them. And then old Nino heading to the Seahawks all of a sudden.
Yep.
For what, a fifth-round pick?
Yes, sir.
Which is next to nothing.
Great move for Seattle.
Great move for the Seahawks because a fifth-round pick is literally just a roll of the dice. You have no clue what you're going to get. First-round picks are now a question mark. You have no idea if a guy, once he gets paid and gets the NFL, if he's going to be able to work out. Second round, it's like, I don't know. Fifth-round pick is next to who knows if this person is going to be worth a single damn. I mean, kickers and punters get drafted higher than the fifth round. You have no idea what that's going to do. So if you're a Detroit Lions fan, you have to be asking, like, a fifth-round pick for a starter on our team whose contract is not up next year. He's only going to get paid $3 million next year. Mm-hmm. What the hell is going on? And if you're a Seahawks fan, you're like, Pete Carroll just got one over on the Ford family out of nowhere. Seahawks got better. Niners got better. The Packers are still elite. The Saints are going to get Drew Brees back at some point. That NFC is shaping up to be an awesome ride the rest of this fall.
I really wish the Packers would have went after Emmanuel Sanders, though. I mean, that's like I feel like they still need another receiver. I don't know if they're going to do it now, just because the guys that have gone for a little bit higher of an asking price than I think they're willing to give. But I just would have been comfortable if Rodgers had one more weapon.
Devontae Adams has been out.
True.
And this team has dominated.
Yeah, when he comes back, oh my gosh.
I mean, that's just another weapon.
Because he is electric.
But this is the thing that everybody talked about with New England. It was like whenever Gronk was playing, their record without Gronk was somehow still very good. But you add Gronk, who's the best tight end, most explosive tight end to ever play the game, and somehow people think that their team got worse. What if Devontae Adams misses the rhythm here? What if Devontae Adams just becomes a system wide receiver instead of the electric wide receiver that it can be? What if they've had so much success that getting Devontae Adams back hurts the Green Bay Packers, Ty? What do you do then?
No, I'm not worried about it because him and Rodgers have a very similar relationship to the way Jordy Nelson and Rodgers did. Like when he comes back, they just click, and that's why a lot of people were saying, hey, they don't need a receiver, and this was actually very important that he went down for the Packers because it allowed Rodgers to build a rapport and a relationship with these other guys that they were going to need to step up if they were going to have any success this year.
Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur were caught on camera before the game. Aaron Rodgers is holding a towel in front of his face, I think, so nobody can read it. And he walks up to the floor and he goes, I want 5 today. And the floor goes, okay, I like that. And then the floor, like a second later, goes, I want 6. And then what did Aaron Rodgers get? 6 touchdowns.
Love it.
Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur are becoming very, very tight. They're becoming good friends. It feels like they're getting on the same page. I think it did start rocky I think the reports of them not, or Aaron maybe not enjoying the hire might have been accurate. I never asked Aaron, might have been accurate. Aaron Rodgers is a GOAT in this league. He's very talented. If he wasn't asked his opinion on a hiring process, you could see how he doesn't love that. So maybe he was a little indifferent towards it at the beginning, but as they've gotten to learn each other here, and as they've gotten to kind of mold this offense around each other with the wristband or without a wristband, and now they're just scoring points on top of points, and they're joking with each other. He called him an old man in the post-game locker room there. Can't just call a guy an old man, by the way, because that is a very touchy subject for people in the NFL, being old, because old means you're probably getting bad, which means you're probably getting out of the league soon. It's great to see those with a great rapport. Bring back Devontae Adams. That defense is getting hungry. The Packers are my favorites though in the NFC, but the Seahawks and Niners got better yesterday, and that should open up everybody's eyes in the left side of the country.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the Saints, I feel like we still don't really know what to expect from them because we don't know how Breeze is going to perform when he comes back. But the NFC is so top-heavy. Really, any of those four teams could go to the Super Bowl.
We have no camera for Ty.
No, we only have 2 cameras right now.
So Ty's just talking in a closet back there.
I got a question for you about the Lions trade, though.
Yeah, buddy.
Okay, the entire locker room, very vocal, very upset that they traded him. Were you ever on a team that traded away a player like that?
Okay, great question there, Foxy. So that first regime I was with, the Peyton Manning, Bill Polian regime, not a lot of trades. Wasn't a lot of trades, not a lot of extensions on contracts until your time was up. It was just very much like cut and dry. Here's what you signed for, you play, you leave. And that team had been together for 13 years at the time whenever I got there. Winningest decade in NFL history. I was at the tail end of that. Very cool to kind of watch them operate. Then we got to the next regime where Chuck came in and the new GM came in, and there was a lot of trades. They're trying to bring in big people. They're trying to bring in big names. They're overpaying some people, missed on a couple people, drafted a couple of terrible drafts. And then you're trying to save everything you can at that point. You're kind of grasping for straws like you're a fantasy owner almost. You're like, let me see what we got. And there was a trade of A.Q. Shipley. And A.Q. Shipley, who's now the center for the Arizona Cardinals, good friend of mine, was a pretty well-liked guy in the locker room. I mean, A.Q., you listen to him on our show. You listen to him in real life. He's a barbarian. He's a meathead, but he's a hilarious one. I mean, he's just he's a round Michelin man who's not supposed to be in the NFL for as long as he is, and he is. And he's a funny guy. He's well-liked in the locker room, and he was performing at a very high level for us, but there was money being given to another person at the same exact position. So in our eyes, what it appeared was, to save the confrontation of money over performance, they traded AQ out, even though he was performing well, in favor of somebody that they chose to pay instead of AQ. So whenever that trade happened, the entire team was like, what the hell is going on here? It was almost like a little mini revolt inside the locker room. And Chuck had to call us up at the end of practice. And normally, by the end of practice, Vinatieri and I would be inside lifting so that when the guys came in, they could have the weight room to themselves. And we would just meet them in the team meeting after practice, like 30 minutes after practice. We were told, everybody, all hands on deck, out on the field after practice. Chuck would like to talk to the team. So Chuck calls us all up after practice. We're sitting in there, and everybody still at this point is like, man, what the hell's going on? Are we really trying to win games here, or what are we trying to do? Just protect egos? Like, what's going on? And Chuck said, listen, guys, something happened today. We all know what it is, okay? Business, this is the way the business is, and you just have to trust the process. You just have to have blinders on, and you just have to trust the people who are paid to make these decisions, that they're making the right decisions. And in high school, when a coach says something to a player, the immediate reaction is, oh, he's the coach. He's making it right. He's smart. He's been around football longer than we have. That's probably an accurate assessment. In college even, you're like, you know what? This guy gave us a scholarship. If he thinks something's accurate, it's probably. But when you're in the professional level and you're at the NFL, you've been around football a long time too. Your football IQs are very high. You're basically working with the coaches as opposed to working for the coaches. This is much more of a, we are peers. Yes, they still design the schedule. Yes, they still discipline. Yes, they do all that. But you're talking about peers more so than talking down to people. So whenever Chuck goes, you just have to trust the process. A lot of people are like, yeah, we don't. Hey, I just want to let you know, we don't. And we don't know how long a lot of these guys are going to be able to play. And you're kind of wasting our careers making these ego-driven decisions. And Chuck had to really manage that. That was the situation where I had to, that was the first time I really saw Chuck have to try to, because Chuck is a very good speaker. He's like a stand-up comedian. He can rally the troops, which I think he'll do with the Bears defense, especially after they've fallen off a little bit. That was the first time, though, where I've seen people look back at Chuck and go, bull. Don't say that to us. We don't trust the process.
Well, I assume at that level, it's your money too.
Yeah, like
You know
hey,
what I
man,
mean?
we're trying to succeed as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Hey, we trust what? That the better guy just got shipped out of town strictly because you paid a different guy? We know that, Chuck. Like, we're not a bunch of idiots, all right? I don't know how much vitamins I got to smoke to figure that. I don't know how dumb you think we are. But a lot of us were just like, come on, Chuck. And then obviously, you slowly have to get over it because a game comes. And you can't really dwell on anything because the game comes and you'll get exposed, you'll get embarrassed no matter what position you're at. So the train just keeps on moving and you don't really have a chance to react anymore. It kind of just becomes a story of the past, which is everything in this world. As soon as something more important pops up, the things of the past are forgotten about. And in the NFL, it's a new game, it's another team, it's a new schedule, it's this, it's that, it's that. So that moment, though, I remember very vividly, like walking out there and everybody looking around in the huddle around Chuck, and we're like, yeah, we don't trust the process. We don't trust the person that's making the decisions. We think we have eyes, and we know AQ isn't getting paid a damn thing. You see how cheap those tattoos look? He's leasing a car right now. That guy's living in an apartment. We know it's not a business decision. We know that he's not getting paid a lot of money. We know it's not because you don't want to pay him. We know his contract isn't up. This is strictly because of an ego decision. That is it. And it was a tough one for Chuck to handle. He had to do it. These are things that happen in the NFL. In the Lions locker room, it seems to be happening right now. Matt Patricia's going to have that same conversation today. But once again, he can't dwell on it for too long because there's a game coming. If you get exposed and embarrassed on Sunday, you're going to get cut instead of worrying about somebody else getting traded, because at the end of the day, it's a business, which is exactly what they say when they trade people. It's an interesting situation, though, for sure.
Do you think this could, because the Lions obviously aren't in the position that they want to be in right now. Like, do you think this is the kind of thing that could cause, like, a mutiny in the locker room down the road? Like, or is it, like you said, it's just, hey, we got a game on Sunday, so we got to just move on?
Yeah, the mutiny thing is very interesting. It can't happen. The mutiny in the locker room thing can't happen for real in the NFL.
Because it seems like all the guys that are coming out saying, like, hey, this blindsided us. Like, we love this guy. He's very good, very important part of our team. Like, they're genuinely shocked.
Yeah, but there's literally nothing you can do.
Right.
Like, what can you do? Oh, I'm going to sit out because they traded this guy. You're like, all right, well, get the hell out of here then. You make no money. You do none of this. It's like you can't really have a mutiny. You can't. Like, there's no real – you can literally do the only thing we did to Chuck, which was like, it sounds wrong. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, well, what are you going to do about it? Show what, now what? And it's like, yeah, you're 100% right. There's nothing you can do. You're in a completely powerless position when it comes to personnel moves as a player. Mm-hmm. Unless you're Peyton Manning, who can cut people and sign people, or Tom Brady or those GOATs. Everybody else, you're just sitting back enjoying the ride, hopefully, and you're just trusting, because that's what you're doing, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody has a job. My job, kick the ball well, eliminate the returner. Vinatieri's job, kick the ball through the uprights. Quarterback's job, move us down the field. Defensive end, get pressure. Everybody has a job. Head coach, align the schedule, set us up in the right fashion, get everybody working right. General manager, okay, your job is to find us the best team to get on the field so that the coaches can coach us and we can play the best. You just have to trust that. That's something you have to do. But whenever everybody is like, we don't. That is a tough situation, and that has to fall on the owner then, who has to make the change, which ultimately is nowhere near any of the players' control.
But even though you can't collectively mutiny as an entire team, but isn't there like a pattern right now where when that attitude does exist, the key players are finding a way to get the heck out?
Yeah, that's only the key players, though. That's only like 4 or 5 players on a roster.
But do you worry about a Galladay or somebody then? Like, you know what? It sucks in this locker room. I want out.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because it does feel as if that's kind of the tide that has been turned, is like, if you don't like where you're at and you don't like what's going on, you could say, you know what? Get me out of here. My back hurts. My wife's giving birth. I got the flu. You traded my dog. I'm out of here.
Darius Slay, our best defensive player, openly tweeted about it. Snacks Harrison openly tweeted about it. It just makes no sense, and it's a bad look for Detroit.
By the way, big test for Matt Patricia to see what he's got in that locker room to kind of rally the troops and bring them all back together.
Even a guy that was on the team last year on his Instagram story, Glover Quinn, was like, what's going on in Detroit? So I think there's more to this.
Did Glover Quinn get cut?
I believe he got cut.
Yeah, so that guy's a bit jaded. We always got to remember. No, not that Glover Quinn's a bad guy, but you got to remember people have a little bit of attitudes against people that maybe take their job away from them or something along those lines. Yeah, like Golden Tate got traded out of there last year, right?
Yeah, that was the big one.
But that's what I'm saying. So if he comes out and says something, let's assume that he might have a little bit of a skewed opinion of this whole thing because he was traded.
Right.
Not that I don't like Golden Tate. I like Golden Tate a lot. Mm-hmm. But inside that locker room, when you're seeing all these tweets and things like that, it'll be interesting to see what Matt Patricia does with this whole thing. And I don't know, man. It does seem like everybody's vocally letting everybody know what they got.
Yep.
But what's going to happen in the NFL if all the good players, Zito on the ones and twos.
DJC in the house, y'all.
They need a director of morale in the Detroit Lions locker room like
Yes, they
Zito.
do.
We're going to see what Matt Patricia's got. I got some thoughts on John Elway, the way he was talking about Emmanuel Sanders, too. Called him selfish, I think. John Elway was like the leader of the quarterbacks club, which took money away from everybody else. That's an interesting thing. We'll be back on the other side. You listen to the Pat McAfee Show. Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show here, 9:42. We've ruffled some feathers on the internet talking about Tom Brady going to the Los Angeles Chargers. To be honest, it just makes sense. So makes the most sense because Los Angeles seems to be the destination city for him. I don't know why I think that. I do not know Tom Brady at all. I don't know him at all. I just assume Los Angeles. He trains out there at UCLA. He loves the greens and all that stuff. And the Rams can't get rid of Goff, can't unload Goff's contract. So the Chargers, with Phillip Rivers' contract being up, Phillip Rivers hating driving from San Diego to Los Angeles, the Spanos family knowing that their organization, their franchise is dying, just feels like the right move. If he was to leave, like Adam Schefter said, is looking probable. And by the way, when Schefter speaks, there's a reason. That dude very rarely gets things wrong, especially after meeting him. I mean, he triple stamps and double stamps to make sure things are right. He wouldn't just go on television to speak and ruin his credibility if he wasn't right. I believe we're being joined by Josh Sitton at some point. Is he on right now?
Yeah, we got him right now.
Absolute legend of a man. He joined us a couple weeks ago, and his brain was mesmerizing. The way he speaks about football is through the eyes of an all-pro offensive lineman. A man who won a Super Bowl. He's handsome. He runs a real estate business. Joining us, ladies and gentlemen, Josh Sitton. What up, Josh?
I think, hold on, Zeke needs to change the setting back over.
Attaboy, Josh. All right.
How about now?
Yep, we're good.
Attaboy, Josh. Oh, my God. He's coming to us live from his man cave, I believe, where he has jerseys on top of jerseys behind him. How are you, Josh?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm good. By the way, everything that you were saying the last time you were on the show has basically come to fruition about the Browns not having an offensive line, that type of stuff happening. What are your eyes on the NFC right now after the trades that happened, to the 49ers getting another weapon with Emmanuel Sanders, to the Seahawks getting a good safety, to Drew Brees coming back for the Saints? Do you feel as if the Packers are still in the commanding position in the NFC, or do you think these other teams got definitely better yesterday?
Well, I'll say this. I hope Drew Brees plays this week because I just picked him up in fantasy. So I'm rooting for you, Drew. I still think the Packers. Packers and Saints are the lead dogs. I was actually just looking at San Fran's schedule. They still haven't played a single good team, and they don't play any. They don't have a challenge until they play the Seahawks, and then they have a 3-game stretch starting in November where they've got the Packers, Ravens, and Saints, and that's going to be their test. And I don't think they're up for the challenge. They're great on defense, but I don't think Jimmy G can get it done. And this league is a quarterback league, and when it comes down to it, your quarterback has to win the game for you come playoff time. And I think the Packers and the Saints obviously have the better quarterbacks.
Okay, let's talk about Aaron Rodgers and LaFleur. A video creeped out of him and LaFleur talking before the game this past weekend where he said to LaFleur, I want 5 today, and LaFleur said back to him, I want 6. Then there was a video of the post-victory locker room where LaFleur gave him the game ball, called him an old man. Do you feel as if Aaron Rodgers and LaFleur are becoming best of friends, and how good news is that for Green Bay Packers fans and owners?
I do. I really do. It's I keep up with the Packers, obviously, and I read little snippets here and there, and you can see Aaron just kissing LaFleur's ass and his, and his comments left and right. It's almost shocking because that's not, it's not his style. So I could tell that relationship is going well. From what I hear from a few of the guys, Aaron is completely bought into everything. He's trying to win. He's doing whatever it takes, and that's a scary combination because he is the most talented quarterback probably to ever play the game. Probably until Patty Mahomes came out, but that team is really good, scary good, great defense, and he's buying into everything, and they're dangerous.
All right, let's pivot real quick. I agree with everything you just said there. You're a genius. It sounds like I'm going to just try to write down everything you say and take it as my own and sound smarter for myself. But let's pivot to the Denver Broncos. Something happened with Emmanuel Sanders after the Titans game in the Broncos locker room. John Elway said that they traded him, and the locker room knows why. Everybody knows why. It's not the culture we're trying to build here. We're trying to win. I've been around the game a long time, as have you. What do you think that could potentially mean? In my eyes, he said something to a coach. He did something in that locker room. There was maybe a disagreement. Maybe he said, I don't want to play here anymore. That story will eventually leak out. But I think that was very telling of John Elway to mention those words without giving a full description.
Yeah, you don't usually see GMs come out and making comments like that. I'm sure Emmanuel's sick of losing and sick of being on a bad team, and he probably let his emotions get the worst of him. It happened to me many a times playing in this league. And he probably said something to a coach or maybe even the GM or somebody. And I mean, it's time for them. They got to rebuild. They're not, Joe Flacco's not their future. So
whoa.
It's time for them to rebuild, and it was perfect timing, and it's a great weapon for Jimmy G.
Speaking of rebuilding, the Atlanta Falcons are going to have to blow that entire place up. I mean, that defense, which was once incredible, now stinks. Matt Ryan's hurt. Their offense stinks. They get rid of Mohamed Sanu. They ship him out to the Patriots, who somehow get even better in the middle of the season. It makes no sense to me. Whenever you look at the Patriots adding another weapon, how will they be able to keep everybody happy, and who will be able to stop Tom Brady and that Patriots team? What is it going to take to beat the Patriots, you think, or is it even possible?
At this point, how do you bet against them? I just don't. I don't think it's possible in the AFC since Pat went down. He was the best shot at it. Obviously, I mean that's not a hot take. That's pretty simple.
Yeah.
But that whole team is led by that defense, and Tom doesn't have to do everything that he's had to do in the past. And that defense, it doesn't have any superstars, but man, these guys are confusing as hell. Playing against them last year with the Dolphins, the looks they give you are they're almost unbeatable. And it just goes to show you how smart that coaching staff is. Bill Belichick is a freaking genius. He is hands down the best coach to ever coach the game. There's not even a close second. They game plan each and every week specifically, and you don't see that out of other teams. He gets the guys ready. Each week is an individual game plan, and you don't really see that from other teams. So it's scary, and Tom's going to make Sanu a friggin' Pro Bowler.
Well, it's scary to think about. When they got Antonio Brown, everybody was like, what is going on? Now they got another guy who's just as explosive, and I think he's an incredibly intelligent human, so he'll be able to pick up with that Patriots offense very, very fast, which is good news for him. Whenever he played against, the Patriots played against Sam Darnold, just like you said, that defense disguises things and brings things that nobody can really understand, especially young quarterbacks. In NFL films and Monday Night Football, let Sam Darnold's quote of saying, "I'm seeing ghosts," go on national television, which I was mind blown by. Because normally it's like, good touchdown. So whenever they let that out, I was like, yo, they're trying to bury Sam Darnold. And by the way, it did. I mean, it caught on. They're not happy about it. Nobody's happy about it. Have you ever had a hilarious mic'd up situation? And what is the golden rule whenever people are mic'd up?
First of all, poor fella. That's gonna stick with him like the butt fumble did with Sanchez for sure. Let's see. 2 years ago, I got a holding call. I was pulling around and I made a great block, pancake the guy, and I got a holding call. And the mic caught me saying "motherfucker." Yeah,
freaker. Yep.
And it was pretty funny. Everybody was texting me after the game. But yeah, there's plenty of those. I'd be mortified if that tape from the center, because the center's mic'd up every game, and I'm right next to the center when I was playing. I'd hate for those tapes to leak out someday.
Somebody has those though, Snapchat, right?
That's terrifying.
Yes.
They're gonna do NFL films in 30 years, and I'm just gonna be cringing with anxiety.
Josh Sitton going into the Hall of Fame. Let's take a look back on some of the stuff that didn't air during Josh Sitton's career. You mother... Just anger everywhere. It's a tough position, though, because you're in this incredibly competitive environment with humans that are trying to rip your head off, and then they put a microphone in there, and then people who've never been in there are just expecting you to act like a normal individual, and that's just not the way it goes. I feel incredibly bad for Sam Darnold, to be honest with you, because I think when he said, "I'm seeing ghosts," he obviously meant he thought he was seeing one coverage, and it was something completely different. But all it sounds like is he was just scared to death of Bill Belichick and the Patriots.
Oh, I feel so bad for him. He's never going to live that down.
Ever.
And the thing is, every other quarterback that's freaking played these guys is seeing ghosts too. So, he's the only one that just got caught saying it. So he's poor fella is all I can say.
I didn't know you have a camo hoodie on, you have a camo hat on, you have an incredible beard right now. What is this Wednesday looking like for you? You just going out in the woods and killing something right now, or what do you got going on?
I wish. I dropped my daughter off for school, and then I've got my son. My wife's out of town, so daddy daycare for a few days.
Well, I'm very thankful not only for you being a great dad, being a great football player, but I am very hopeful that you will continue to join us on here because your brain is an incredible one. Do you think the Browns did anything to make their off? Okay, here's a quick question. We got like 2 minutes, and I think you can explain this. The last time you came on, you said the offensive line for the Browns is the problem. You can have 2 bad O-linemen. You can't have 3 bad O-linemen, especially with a young quarterback who doesn't have the wisdom yet. They had a bye week. What could Freddie Kitchens have done during the bye week that could potentially help their team be much more successful, even though they're walking into the Patriots this week, and they probably have no shot to begin with?
Go offer the Redskins 2 first-round picks for Trent Williams. That's about it. They're not going to get better, and teams aren't trading O-linemen away. It's so hard to get good O-linemen in this league because the college coaching sucks so bad with offensive linemen that it's very, very difficult to find good O-linemen in this league.
What is it technique? Is it the bodies? What is it that is not being coached?
Technique and the systems that they're running. All they have to do is block a guy for a second, and they just position block. And instead of moving people, they just kind of get in the way and turn their bodies, and that doesn't translate. And that's why you see offensive linemen, it takes them longer and longer to play early on in their careers. And that's why teams aren't trading. I was surprised to see Laramie Tunsil get traded to the Texans, but, the Dolphins are giving away everybody. So
tanking. They're tanking. That Bengals team stinks, Josh, too. I mean, we're not talking about them. They suck, too. I mean, the Dolphins are trying to stink. And that Bengals team, I think they're trying to be good.
They're really bad. Another team that we're not talking about is the Colts, your old team. That team's a good freaking team.
I think they're going to win the Super Bowl, Josh.
I'm telling you, I didn't see it early on. I didn't have a lot of faith in Brissett, but he's playing great right now, and that defense is awesome. Marlon Mack's a baller, and that O-line is freaking badass. So
by the way, that's the recipe to win, right? That's the recipe to win. That's the recipe to win in the playoffs, right?
Yeah, absolutely. They'll make the second round.
All right, Josh. Josh, I think they're winning the Super Bowl. I don't need your negativity right now. This has been an incredible interview. I can't thank you enough. Ladies and gentlemen, from Daddy Daycare, a legend, Josh Shitten. Thank you so much, Josh. Appreciate you, man.
All right, thanks, guys.
He's so good, dude. And by the way, if you could see him with that incredible beard, I mean, it's just such a rugged fella. Good guy. Down to earth. First hour wrapping up here in Houston. I feel like we've really changed the world here. We'll be back on the other side. This is the Pat McAfee Show.
deep from the mud. There's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree. There's roots where I stand. Oh, I've been running from the law. Hope they won't shoot me down soon. They sing on a sleepless night. Try to catch me howling at the moon. When it rains, it pours. Water's up to my chin. Won't stop fighting to the very end. Many men try to reach it. Many men have failed. Well, if you wanna get to heaven, you gotta raise a little hell. And I've been running from the law. Hope they won't shoot me down soon. They say no to sleepless night. Will you find me? Hope you find me. I'll be back home soon. When the sun rises, when the sun we're trying to catch me howling at the moon. Trying to catch me howling at the moon. It's the perfect occasion for a mental vacation from the heart of the nation. Not your medication. 2 hours of magic. Let's give it a go. Ladies and gents, it's the Pat McAfee Show. It's the Pat McAfee Show. It's the Pat McAfee Show.
Yes, it is, Chase Rice. I appreciate you. We're coming to you live from Houston, Texas. The SMU Mustangs of Dallas travel over to H-Town, Houston, to take on the Houston Cougars tomorrow night on ESPN. We are here taking it all in here in Houston. Going to stop by Paul Wall's house, get a grill, potentially go see the World Series this evening. Astros and Nationals, Team of Destiny. We will be talking with Adnan Kirk.
Verk.
Yep.
Also
And
goes by Adam Van Kirk.
that's what I thought his name was the first time I talked to him. He is an incredible individual, knows a lot about baseball with a great personality, by the way. Just met him a couple weeks ago, works for DAZN, has a show called Change Up, which I would recommend watching because it's taught me everything that I need to know about baseball, especially since we're going to a World Series game tonight. Hopefully Foxy will be able to make up for his incredible lack of alphaness in ALDS at the Yankee Stadium. Maybe get a ball tonight. Hopefully that can happen for you, Foxy.
Redemption. That's all I want.
Their show's basically the red zone for baseball, right? What
Yeah.
we were talking about that was needed somewhere.
Yeah, it's red zone for baseball, and then it gives you a lot of thoughts and opinions and things. So you sound smarter than you are when it comes to the baseball world. Because right now is really the only time that baseball kind of takes over the world. Last night was NBA opening night. LeBron and the Lakers lost to the LA Clippers. Can't have it if you're LeBron. Can't do it, especially with all the garbage that's been happening around LeBron. I gave a 5-minute diatribe in the first hour about it. You can find that on the internet. I was really hitting on all cylinders, to be honest. I think it's one of the best takes I've ever given because I'm very passionate about LeBron. Because I like watching greats do great. Like, I enjoy learning about why the people at the top of the mountain are at the top of the mountain. I enjoy learning what he has done to get him to where he's at. I like that type of stuff. I enjoy that type of stuff. That's why I was so lucky to play alongside Peyton Manning and Vinatieri and these people. It's inspiring to learn how they do what they do to get to the top of their field. By the way, most of it revolves around just working your ass off. That's a lot of it, but a lot of it has to be naturally gifted, genetics and everything like that. You have to fall in place, and it's interesting to learn about. So I've always been a LeBron James fan, and I don't think I ever followed along close enough off the court to really understand why everybody hates him. And I have a lot of friends. Nick Moraldo, my friend Nick, who's on this show on a daily basis. I mean, he hates LeBron James. He's hated him for a long time. But Nick is a notorious hater. So it's just like I can't really take that serious. You know, like I can't be like, okay, Nick hates this guy, so that must be real.
Right.
But then you start hearing like a lot of people on the internet, everybody's kind of turning against him. Even if you didn't hate him, you're kind of turning against him. I was always like, what are we doing, guys? What are we doing? And then now that I'm in this position, I've been paying attention more. He is a tough guy to like. I mean, it is a tough human to like. And I normally am not a fan of things if I don't like the person. If I don't like the human that's in the band, I'm not going to support the band, right? I can't separate the music or the art from the human. I can't do that. So I always just assume LeBron's a good guy. I'm like, LeBron's a good guy. I like him. He's good at his thing. He's at the top of the mountain. People like to throw rocks at shiny things. Taylor Swift said that. That's kind of what's happening with LeBron. He's been great for so long. People just hate him because of that. Then you start paying attention. You're like, yeah, this guy stinks.
Well, this lends so much credibility to the criticism because you have been defending him, I mean, hard for a very long time.
It's the Taco Tuesday thing. That's where it all started with me. I'm like, come on, dude.
Yeah. No self-awareness.
Come on, guy. Last year, I mean, he showed up to the court drunk a couple times, had his wine. He was a wine connoisseur, which, by the way, if you have millions and millions of dollars, having a sophisticated palate is definitely something you can buy. Yeah. That is something you can buy. So everybody's like, oh, he thinks he knows wine. He doesn't. Maybe he does. You don't know.
Probably.
Probably just went up to a vineyard and bought the whole place and said, hey, smart guy who has a better palate than me, teach me everything I need to know. I want to get drunk and show up at basketball games, which is what he did last year. So I didn't hate that.
He's worked hard. Take a little break.
Yeah, you've been in the playoffs ever since you're 18 years old. You want to take a year off because your team stinks. Might be your fault the team stinks, but that's neither here nor there. Your team stinks. Just show up. Do what you got to do. Take a year off. You're in Los Angeles. Start 45 shows. Try to sue Nick Saban for a barbershop idea that you thought you created, even though there's an entire movie series about it. Do whatever you got to do. Okay? But these last couple months, it has become damn near impossible to be a LeBron James human fan. And that China thing was just that was the cherry on top. I'm like, come on, bro. Stand for something even if you have to sacrifice everything. Unless it is going to sacrifice everything financially, then you got to backpedal completely. Do I think he was put in a bad position to even have to speak about that? Yes. I think they were put in a bad spot. Adam Silver admitted that on Get Up yesterday while I was standing in the background while Greeny was interviewing him. Or on Monday, I mean. But that just became a part where I was like, come on, man. Then the Taco Tuesday, I'm like, come on, man. Then he starts yelling during the national anthem with all this stuff. You would think that he's going to put 70 up, 80 up. Instead, they lose to the Clippers in the opening game of L.A. in L.A. And it's like, LeBron, it's becoming tough to be a fan of yours. And I've been a noted fan of yours. I got a pair of Braun shoes. All of them that come out, I got them. I'm trying to support the biz, dog. I think you're going to be a billionaire. I'm happy for you. You've done it. You've done it all right. Literally, taking care of your mom, taking care of everything. You've done things right. But you've just become this insufferable human off of the court that it's tough to like. So now anything I talk about LeBron is going to be strictly on the court based. And last night he got bodied by Kawhi. So I just can't. I don't even know if that's true. I didn't watch the game. I mean, I fell asleep. It was on at like 4 a.m. I don't know what you want from me. I know they lost and he only scored like 2 points in the fourth quarter. That's not winning basketball. But, man, I just can't do it anymore with the guy. I'm fed up. And I'm absolutely fed up.
He just can't help himself. I think that's – but I also wouldn't be surprised and I wouldn't hate it if he just embraced it and just went full heel turn.
I think he has.
I think he has too because he's so many people are – taking shots at him, and he's taking shrapnel from everywhere, and he has so much money. Why not just be like, all right, screw you guys, screw everyone. I'm going to make sure you hate me then.
I think the Taco Tuesday thing was the start of it. He was still trying to be babyface then. Mm-hmm. Babyface in wrestling terms is liked. I think he was still trying to be babyface, show that he's relatable. Look what we do. Look what we do. We have a little taco bar. Hard shell, soft shell. I'm just like you. That's what LeBron's saying. I'm just like you, trying to be relatable. That backfired because he tried to copyright it. And everybody's like, come on, dude. Chi-Chi's had that thing, years ago. Come on. So that kind of turned a little bit. And then the China situation where he decided to come out and speak about it, I think that was when he mentally was like, all right, everybody's going to hate me for this for sure. Here we go. And then last night, middle of the national anthem, starts yelling. He's, let's go! He has fully embraced being a heel, which I don't think he's been trying to do for the last 10 years.
No.
A lot of people viewed him as a heel for the last 10 years. I think now he has fully just embraced it. And if they can win, that's cool. But if you lose, if you start to lose, that's going to be tough. I mean, he'll be a billionaire. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. He's going to be considered one of the greatest of all time. He's always going to be in discussion with MJ and Kobe. It's just the way it's going to go. He's done a lot of that stuff. But I just wish he wouldn't have become such an insufferable human being because I was a fan. And whenever I'm a fan of something, it turns out that they just stink. It's tough for me because I start taking shots. I start getting texts. Did you see what your guy did?
Yep.
I never met the guy. Did you see what your guy did? And they've been coming in abundance with LeBron lately. Everybody I know has been saying, AQ Shipley, oh, my God, there's a guy. He'll send me a text, anything LeBron does. Still think he's better than Jordan? Because I've always said, if you just look at what Bron is, okay, he's like 6'8", 260 pounds. Freak athlete, insane athlete. And they're always like, well, he's playing in an era where they cater to a scorer. Let's assume that the 6'8", 260-pound guy would have been able to adapt to basketball back in the day. Let's assume the guy that should be playing point or power forward who can run point could have adapted to basketball back in the day. Everybody's like, well, he wouldn't have been able to make it back. Yes, he would have. Yes, he would have. Would Jordan have done better nowadays? I assume.
Oh, yeah.
I assume he would have done. By the way, not as many little white guys playing nowadays either, though. Something to think about. Okay? Yes, the hit from French Lick was a nightmare on the court. But there's a lot. You watch those highlights of Michael Jordan at this show, a lot of Uncle Bums running around on their thing where I seen on the streets at like a family reunion of mine. So I just always said that he should be in the conversation the greatest player of all time. The guy's been in the playoffs for like 45 years straight. He's taken terrible teams to the finals. He's won finals MVPs. He's hit clutch shots, even if he's missed clutch shots, which Michael Jordan has also done. Let's just assume that guy would have been able to adapt to the game back then.
Absolutely.
Let's just assume he would have been able to do that, which is what I always said. I'm like, yeah, he's the greatest player of all time. When he's done, nobody's saying this guy's the greatest player of all time. Now he's making it so hard to say he's good at basketball because of how bad he is off the court. And I hate it. I hate everything about it. I want to send my shoes back. I don't even want to wear them. Send them back to China. You know what I mean? Bron, I am so mad about it. If he wins that game last night, I'm a completely different human right now. But instead, he loses it. On opening night, after all the antics, I needed him to drop 60 there last night. It's quick. Instead, I got 60 text messages this morning like, yeah, see what your guy did? Lost it. 2 points in the fourth quarter. Like, I'm done with it. He did show up drunk, though. I mean, he just showed up with wine. And he let the ball, roll out of bounds last year. They rolled the ball down the court. He's trying to save clock in, like, the middle of the first quarter. He just lets it roll right out of bounds. I'm like, come on, Bron.
He did 2 times in one game, too, right?
Yeah, and then the one time he just picked it up and hocked the three from, like, half court. That guy gave no dams last year. I wouldn't either, though.
He did look drunk.
Yeah, he looked drunk on the court last year. And I'm not saying that as a journalist who did an investigation and sent him a breathalyzer. I'm just talking about the antics he was doing on the court. Yeah. It looked like he completely gave up. I would, too, by the way, if I had 4 shows bought by HBO, NBC, and a Space Jam series coming out, and I was making bazillions of dollars, and I'm trying to copyright Taco Tuesday all at the same time. I can understand how you can give up, but the greatest of all time, you would hope, would act differently.
Well, and I think a lot of people share your sentiment. Like, if they start this season, let's say, like 5-10 or something like that, I guarantee everyone's going to be calling for his head in L.A. and for the Lakers to blow it up. He might axe Frank Vogel himself. Like, we'll
Frank.
See.
By the way, I completely forgot Frank Vogel was their head coach.
Yeah. Well, LeBron's the head coach, but he's the.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, first sign of things going wrong, LeBron's team will float that out there like, hey, we got to get Vogel out of here. He's the problem. He's the issue.
His name's Frank. Okay. He's kind of a boring guy, it looks like, from the outside. Frank Vogel's a G, by the way. Spent a lot of time in Indianapolis. I've been at plenty of charity event with Frank Vogel. Good dude. Hopefully they turn it around. But right now, on this given day, Wednesday, October 23rd, I'm sick of LeBron.
Let's go.
And I never thought this was going to happen. We got baseball talk on the other side with Adam Van Kirk. Adnan Verk. Great guy. Will you stop, Todd? He's a great guy. He really is.
He is.
Just didn't know his name. We got to get to it. There's music from DJ Todd McComas. Very loud. Unbelievably loud right there. I don't know if that blew out everybody's speakers at home, but it definitely blew out my eardrums. We'll be back on the other side with Adam Van Kirk. You're listening to Deep Headline.
Yep.
Hello.
Adnan, can you hear me?
Hey, I got you, Pat. What's up, buddy?
Hey, I am so thankful you came on. We're like 1 minute out. I'll introduce you, and then we're ready to go, okay?
Whatever you want, brother.
God, you look good. You're so nice.
Canadians, man, I'm telling you.
Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show. It is 11:18 in some parts of the country, 10:18 where we're coming to you live from Houston, Texas in a box truck. We will be going to the World Series game tonight where the team of destiny, the Nationals, have a one-game lead over the Houston Astros after last night's pitching duel that became an offensive battle. Joining us now from the middle of a hurricane, Adnan Verk. Thank you, Adnan.
Pat, a pleasure to be with you. What's going on, boys? It's right. I just escaped this hurricane here in North Jersey, so as you can see, sunny, warm, we're ready to go here. How you guys doing?
We're incredible. We're excited. I've never been to a World Series game before. What should I be expecting tonight from that atmosphere?
Pat, it's sick, man. I mean, I know one of your boys is a Yankees fan. You were telling me that the fight we were at, Triple G fight in Vegas, excuse me, at Madison Square Garden. And let me tell you something, the fans are into it so much. You know so much you might go to a regular season baseball game and people are on their phones or they're doing other things. At a World Series game, like, nobody shows up by accident. Like, everyone is there because they're fired up. They paid hundreds of dollars for these tickets. So you're getting world-class emotion. You're getting people fired up. And a couple of fights maybe in the stands, which I know you can appreciate as well.
I'm a big fan of fighting in the stands. I mean, that is something I absolutely love. I'm not sure if the baseball crowd does that. I guess they will potentially, especially if the Astros go down 2-0. Is that what you think is possible here? I think everybody thought Garrett Cole was going to slice and dice last night. Me in particular, I hammered the over 9.5 strikeouts. He didn't get there. Scherzer did. Tonight, what should we expect from
Verlander and Strasburg.
The pregnant pause. I love it for dramatic effect. First off, Pat, many of you, including myself, thought Garrett Cole would shut down the rest of the Nationals. I had the Astros winning. So trust me, you got plenty of other people who are in your court who thought he'd strike out at least 10. Listen, I think Strasburg, Verlander, the edge actually goes to Strasburg. He's been unbelievable this last month or so. And especially if you look at his playoff career, he's been absolutely dominant. So of the four pitchers, I would have ranked them Cole, Strasburg, Scherzer, and then Verlander. That's not to say Verlander's a chump. Obviously, 36 years old. He might win a Cy Young. If you've seen Kate Upton, you know he's a winner off the field as well as on the field. But I actually think Strasburg has the edge. But I'm with you. It seems to me to be a little bit too shocking. The Astros going down 0-2. Heavy favorite, biggest favorite in the World Series since 07. I just think the Astros show up tonight. But you're right. If they lose, watch out. There'll be riots in the streets.
That Soto dude is 20 years old. Hit one out of the damn stadium last night. This Nationals team feels like they're a team of destiny almost. Get Bryce Harper out of town, able to spread money around a little bit more. In baseball, for somebody that doesn't know much about baseball, momentum, destiny, like these types of things, is this real or is it just whoever can pitch well on any given night?
I think momentum is that day's starting pitcher. I know people like to throw those ideas out there about team of destiny, and that's fun to say. I mean, it's great for talk radio. It's great for our purposes. But honestly, if your pitcher's good and he puts up a bunch of zeros, and you feel pretty good about being a team of destiny. So honestly, you're right. The storylines for the Nationals without Bryce Harper, if you're a fan of Schadenfreude, if you like seeing people succeed at the harm of others, and I guess if you hate Bryce Harper, you're happy to see the Nationals doing so well. I just think it's a good story for the city, man. For a while, they've been cursed. Finally, the Capitals win. Now you're going to see maybe the Nationals win. Obviously, the Redskins still stink, so the world's not too screwed up. But it certainly is a great story. Listen, Ryan Zimmerman's been there since 05. Pat, I'm sure you can appreciate sentiment. A veteran's been there through thick and thin. That guy's seen it all. If the Nationals win, I'd be so happy for Ryan Zimmerman in his mid-30s finally getting his chance on the big stage.
I graduated high school in 05, so good for that guy. I've been through a lot. So has he. I had to battle through the streets of Morgantown late night. He's had to battle through terrible baseball. Whenever a pitcher throws in 100 miles an hour, like that rainy guy last night,
yeah, I
had no idea that guy even existed until last night. He's my new favorite pitcher. Granted, I don't think he got the win. I don't remember what team he pitched for. But these pitchers tonight, last night, 99 is what Garrett Cole was reaching. And then his curveball was like a 91 or something like that. That feels like that's faster than normal pitchers. When you're in the playoffs, are they given more juice? Like in the playoffs for football, guys are just willing to sacrifice everything on every play because they know it's win or go home. In baseball, it's a 7-game series, but the pitchers get a little bit of a break. Are they throwing harder and throwing it? I mean, it sounded like that Scherzer guy was Serena Williams every single pitch last night. It was like, ah! Every single thing. Is that something that's real?
He definitely, I think he learned at the temple of Maria Sharapova and Serena. He just believes the more you grunt, the better you're going to do. He said, quote, if you're grunting at 95, it's fine. If you're grunting at 91, then you're a fraud. So he at least has the numbers to back up his grunting. But yeah, absolutely. I think, listen, today's baseball, you've got guys, the fancy term is velo. Everyone's got a high velo. They're throwing 95, 97. And Carlos Pena told me, a longtime veteran, he goes, you can't just sit on 95. Like he goes, you can't go up there expecting to hit the ball. You have to hope for a little bit of luck and just be as geared up as possible. And the real danger is this. If you're sitting on 95, 97, 99, you're expecting heat from a guy like Tanner Rainey, who pitches for the Washington Nationals. And by the way, even though he can throw that high velo, he was very erratic. He was out of the game very quickly. So it is about control as well. But the point that Pena was making was you have to look for 99. You can't say, okay, I'm looking for an 85-mile-an-hour slider, and if it's 99, I'll just increase my bat speed. No, it doesn't work that way. So you better look for 99 and then hopefully adjust if the pitch is 15 miles an hour slower, which is awfully incredibly difficult to do.
Adnan, has the World Series ever seen two pitching staffs this great before and matching up?
Not in recent memory. I'm 41, and in my lifetime of watching baseball, I've never seen, particularly those first four pitchers I mentioned, the Scherzer, Strasburg, Cole, Verlander. Even if you add Greinke, who's a former Cy Young Award winner, who's going to pitch Game 3 for Houston, Patrick Corbin, who's very good for the Nationals, and Anibal Sanchez, who's the forgotten guy who almost threw a no-hitter in the playoffs, I think that collection is pretty extraordinary. And what's ironic, though, is this. You'd think with that kind of starting pitching, right, every game is going to be 2-1, 3-2. That's a 5-4 game. So you know what? Guys do catch up to heat. And as Pat mentioned, Juan Soto's incredible. I mean, he's 20 years old. I wouldn't mind checking his birth certificate. I'm not sure if he's exactly, but that's what they say. He's 20 years old. But that guy's wise beyond his years, and this starting pitching is pretty amazing.
Got a Freddie Adu situation going on in Washington. I can respect that a lot. A little breezy where you're at. Is Houston's ballpark, is that thing enclosed because of how hot it is in Houston, or is that thing going to be wide open tonight?
Sorry, I just missed the question, Pat. You saying is the roof going to be open?
Yeah, well, it's also because you're in the middle of a windstorm over there, which led me to the thought of the ballpark. Is it going to be open or is it going to be closed?
They like to have it closed. They feel like the ball travels faster in terms of home runs. I'm always a fan of keeping the park open. I like having natural climates. I'm not in favor of domes, unless, of course, it's a Super Bowl and you're going to have the dome in Minnesota or something like that. I get that. But I think they keep it closed. They think the ball travels better that way, but I personally prefer it when it's open.
Has anybody ever called you Adam Van Kirk?
Yeah, there's so many different ones I get with. Adam Burke is a good one when I want to be Irish. I just tell people my name's Adam Burke. Adrian Kirk I got in college. A lot of people call me Adrian Kirk. I'll get Anton once in a while, which I think is a great one. Because when's the last time you met a guy named Anton? So I really like Anton Kirk. If I get that, I get excited. I don't correct them. I go, yeah, Anton, nice to meet you. How you doing?
Adnan, incredible stuff. I can't thank you enough. I know nothing about the baseball, but I watch the changeup on DAZN every single night. You do an incredible job, the whole crew over there. And thank you so much for joining us and educating us. We're going to the game tonight. Who do you got winning?
I'm going to have the Astros winning just because as a baseball fan, I don't want a series go 2-0 just as the series then shifts to Washington because I feel like it could be very premature quickly. So I'm gonna actually hope the Astros win tonight. We get a good 6-7 game series. Before you let me go, Pat, I want an Adam Amin story. One of my boys there from ESPN. What is it like working with a real broadcast professional, a guy who's trying to keep the train on the tracks? Speaking of trains in Houston, Adam is trying to keep the train on the tracks, and you and Hasselbeck are just trying to score around as much as possible. How tough do you make life for my boy Adam every Thursday?
Well, it's interesting. You say it, a little bit racist of you to blame the white guys, too, and just take the side of the other brown guy. That's very interesting. Adam is the consummate professional, though. That guy, we get a chance to call the SMU Houston game tomorrow night. He's probably called 4 different games in the last 2 days, and somehow he still memorizes all these college kids' names that mean nothing to anybody other than Adam. He's a consummate professional, just like you, absolutely incredible at his job.
I appreciate it, but he's a real pro, and trust me, I'm always sympathetic to the plight of the white American male.
We've had it so rough.
Adnan, I can't thank you enough. Check him out on Change Up on DAZN app. You're absolutely amazing. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks, boys. Love the show. Keep it going.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate you. All right, a lot of interesting things there. He said Verlander was the number 4 pitcher in this series. The only thing, if you ask me as somebody who doesn't know much about baseball, I would assume Verlander was top of the top. I think that guy's probably the guy. I guess the years are behind him. I don't know if that's the case.
I don't know. And still in like one-game situations, Verlander is a guy I want out there. He's he's a gamer. He knows when his adrenaline's pumping, there's very few guys you'd rather have out there other than him.
Well, we're going to be there to motivate him and cheer him on. Thanks to our friends at DAZN. They got us tickets. We're going to be at there. I mean, a World Series, I think it's going to be electric. Last night I was watching it. I think we're going to regret it immediately after the game because we have to wake up so early for this show. But it's going to be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I can't wait to get out there. And just like Adam Van Kirk said right there, if the Nationals win this, Why does everybody just assume that it's over if it goes back to Washington? Because if they won 2 in Houston, why couldn't Houston do that in Washington?
Well, they could, but I think it's just the idea, like home field advantage in these games. I mean, it's not that important, but when you have to win at least one game on the road or at home. Like if you're at home, you can't drop 2 to a team that you're supposed to be much better than, because it just, you get the home crowd there, stuff starts happening. I mean, then realistically, Washington only needs to win one game at home, and then they're extending the series for a ways.
All right, well, it's 10:28. We got about 30 minutes left. I'm going to talk about Tom Brady going to Los Angeles, but not to the team you probably think it is. I'm going to run to the bathroom, which is across the street, down the hall. I think we're having a great little Wednesday here.
Let's go.
We got cameras working now. We got mics working.
It's a real operation.
It's a real show. We can't thank you enough for listening and watching. We don't know why you do. 10:30 Wednesday, October 23rd. Going to a World Series game tonight. No big deal. Hopefully Foxy gets a ball. Hopefully he also gets Debo, so we can talk about that.
Come on.
That's what we said to you. We'll be back on the other side. You listen to Pat McAfee Show.
I'm turning dreams into reality. In the lab with the formula and chemistry. Your memories spark and motivate and make the industry shake. You put the balls in the brakes. I'm talking one chance at best. Yes, painting pictures for the culture, keep the brushes fresh. Take the trouble with the drummer, passion never rests. Freedom is a teacher under pressure, now we blessed. See, I was so close with the go. It's one art, one shot, now the future is yours. Go. Yeah, it's one art, one shot, now the future is yours. Go.
Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show. I am Pat McAfee, joined in this box truck by Todd McComas. Todd, you're a big baseball guy. Did you enjoy that conversation with Adnan? He was good.
I did. Man, it's electric just to be in the same city as
the World Series,
let alone go.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It does feel as if this entire now, granted, Houston geographically is probably the largest city in the world. I mean, we had to drive 45 minutes basically, and we're in Houston the entire time, and I think it extends even farther out there.
So spread out,
which I appreciate. And in this SMU Houston game, one of the coaches said that I think it was, I don't know if it was a coach or an SID. Somebody mentioned that Dallas is more like the white collar, Houston more of a blue collar city, right?
Oh, that makes sense.
So that's how they're kind of marketing it in their buildings. Like this is a white collar versus blue collar, Dallas versus Houston, like that type of rivalry. I don't know if that's standard Texas talk. I could be completely wrong, and I probably wasn't supposed to say what I just said publicly. But it does feel like this is like a blue collar city, right?
Yeah.
A lot of oil. There's a lot of stuff going on, and outside. I mean, I just had to run 3 blocks to go to the bathroom. Houston, everybody's decked out in Houston Astros gear.
Oh, yeah.
It feels like this Astros team has really united the city, I assume on numerous occasions. Whenever they won after the flood or the hurricane, now with the flood with J.J. Watt being there. I mean, it's just, by the way, J.J. Watt cut a little promo last night at the Houston Astros before the thing. Said, Houston, are you ready for the World Series? Not a bad little promo by the kid. Yelling into a microphone there. Looked jacked, looked yoked. Lost to the Colts. That's going to happen because this Colts team's going to win the Super Bowl.
No shame in that.
Then he was on probably about how many millions do you think watched that World Series last night? A lot?
Yeah, probably. I don't know the exact number, but quite a few.
His fiance was just checking out his phone, you know. As soon as I saw it on there, I was like, oh, man, that's going to go. That is something that's going to go. It happened with Beyonce and Jay-Z years ago. Now JJ and his lady who's a professional soccer player, what's her name?
Keely or something?
Keely?
Kate Keely?
Let's just, I mean, it's fun to joke about that she's looking at his phone there, but anybody who's in a relationship knows that if you have your phone, that's happening. Like, that is absolutely happening. I would imagine that Sam, she spies with her little eye anytime something potentially pops up. Maybe not because she thinks I'm doing something else, but you have no idea who's texting J.J. Watt there. She's probably like, who was that texting J? You're telling me J.J. just got a text from George Bush, just texted J.J. You know what I mean?
That's a good point. I hadn't even thought of that.
Yeah, like he was probably getting messages because he was on national television. They were just showing him. He's J.J. Watt. He's an electric factory. So he's probably getting texts or messages from somebody of massive importance. And by the way, if I'm J.J., if I'm with him and I'm sitting in the row behind him, I'm probably peeking up over that thing too. Like, wait a minute, who the hell is J.J. talking to? Who's J.J. Watt talking to? J.J. sat next to me at my first Pro Bowl. We're out in Arizona. His locker was placed directly next to mine, and he didn't know it. But that was just a week-long interview by me to him, basically. And I told him, I said, if I was J.J. Watt, you've handled your situation much differently. If I was J.J. Watt, I would be on every television show because – remember, J.J. Watt now, because he got hurt, is not being talked about as much as he was about 5 years ago. 5 years ago, 4 years ago, J.J. Watt was everywhere. Yeah. This dude was the next one. And he was, by the way. Changing games. The Watt SWAT was something that was real. At Houston Texan games, whenever you would come here, they would play Turn Down for Watt, and the whole place would go crazy. I think babies in Houston hospitals would lose their absolute minds. His picture was on every single page of the program. He was selling cars for every car dealership. I have no idea how he did it. J.J. Watt was the face of everything. And that whenever I went to the Pro Bowl, he hadn't really, expanded his horizon outside of Houston. I got a chance to see him in Houston dominate, and every time he did anything, scoring touchdowns, SWAT. It seemed like he was involved in everything good that happened for the Houston Texans, whether it was an interception, a fumble recovery, a touchdown on the offensive side. It felt like J.J. Watt was doing everything for the Houston Texans. And at that point, he hadn't gone worldwide yet. And he was sitting right next to me, and he's, a Wisconsin kid. I feel like, and he was forced to talk to me. I mean, he was literally forced to talk to me. It's a Pro Bowl, so he has to show just a little bit of respect. And I just started peppering him with questions. I'm like, why are you not just on every single show? If I was you, I would be on every late night show every night. I would probably be acting in things. I'd probably go marry some princess from some other country if I was JJ. If I was you, I'd be doing everything. He was like, oh, man, I'm just trying to, play football good or whatever. Basically the classic humble answer. And then as the years started going on, I started seeing J.J. Watt on every single thing, and he was doing all this incredible stuff. And I'm like, thank God J.J. is finally taking advantage of this incredible platform that his football ability and his philanthropic ability has afforded him, because J.J. Watt, he's friends with Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was like, he's an MVP already. The people that could have been texting J.J. Watt during that game last night, I couldn't even fathom who it could have been. It might have been Barack Obama texting him. Like, you have no idea who it was. And if I was sitting with him, whether I'm having sex with him or not, I'd probably want to be like, who's J.J. talking to?
Maybe that's what it was. She was like, will you tell the president to quit texting? We're at the ballgame.
Which president, though?
Yeah.
Which president could that have
seriously.
been texting him? Honestly, who knows?
Yeah.
You have no idea. So that's going to make its rounds forever because she was – I mean, the way she did it, too, is like she wasn't trying to look, but it's hard not to. So that's a bad look. Immediately, the internet loves that type of situation. Yeah, there's him. Arnold Schwarzenegger's taking a selfie with J.J. Watt.
Not the other way around.
Not yeah, that's just he's next level. Who knows who could be texting him? And he's a friend of the show. Very humble guy. Love the promo that he cut. But that picture is gonna last forever on the internet.
He might be the most beloved guy in Houston, and they have, a lot of big-time athletes and dignitaries that live here. I think, you ask anyone in Houston, J.J. Watt is like their Jesus, I think.
Well, if you go to Houston Texans game, that's like their church then. If he's Jesus, that is their church because everything, as soon as his face pops up on the screen, the place just loses their mind. As it should, by the way. Hurricane Harvey relief 2-year update. He tweeted this, okay? The 2 years since Hurricane Harvey, your generous donations have supported the cleanup and repair and rebuilding of over 1,100 homes, okay? So he rebuilt 1,100 homes with his foundation. It started as a GoFundMe, and then you had world leaders donating millions at a time. Any one of them could have been texting him last night that his girlfriend was trying to look at. The recovery and rebuilding of 971 child care centers, 108,000 children have been served. The distribution of 239 million meals.
Can you imagine?
Jesus.
Physical and mental health services to over 8,900 individuals. Distribution of 337,000 prescriptions to low-income and uninsured patients. And plenty of other things. I mean, so J.J. Watt literally did step up in a moment where the city needed him to. Everything that you hope that your superstar athlete will do, J.J. Watt has done and then some. And for that reason and that reason alone, I can understand why his lady would like to know who's texting him, because just like it could be a world leader, I guess it could be some
floozy.
Thought. But I don't think J.J. Watt would do that.
No, he's a saint. You just read it.
Nothing in the history of J.J. I mean, wearing the Altuve jersey backwards was tough.
Could have been one of those guys.
J.J., if you're listening or watching, that was tough. And I'm not assuming he is, by the way. He's probably working. If I had to guess, that's what J.J. Watt does. I think he has like a bedtime at 9 p.m. every night or something, which was interesting because he was at that World Series game last night that was a little bit later.
True.
But, I mean, there are exceptions to every rules is rules, but there are exceptions, especially with the World Series, and they ask you to cut a promo before him. That jersey backwards, I get it because you have a backpack on. Nobody will understand that you're supporting your guy, Altuve. Wearing a backward jersey was tough. But
He's a big crisscross guy, too.
Oh, yeah.
Because he wore that jersey backwards?
Everyone flip.
It's not part of the song.
That's how I remember it.
Yeah, but that's just not accurate.
I couldn't sing the actual lyrics because we get fined.
True. Very true. By the way, it's been a few days since our last radio incident. I'm proud of us.
Yeah. We're cleaning it up.
Incidents have happened in the NFL in the past. And I'm excited to learn what the Emmanuel Sanders incident was. John Elway, when he traded away Emmanuel Sanders yesterday to the San Francisco 49ers, what is that team, 2-5?
I believe so, yes.
They're 2-5. He gets traded away to an undefeated team. Emmanuel Sanders had quite a glow up there in just one decision by a general manager and another general manager. Two former players, John Elway, John Lynch, negotiate the deal. John Elway says, the locker room knows why we got rid of him. The locker room knows that this is not the standard we're going to have here for the Denver Broncos. He alluded to him being selfish and something happening after the Tennessee Titans game between Emmanuel Sanders and somebody else in the locker room. Josh Sitton was on in the first hour. He said that he would assume that Emmanuel Sanders was sick of losing, so maybe his emotions got the best of him or the worst of him in a moment. Maybe he said something to a coach, went after somebody. Maybe he said something like that. And John Elway, for some reason, couldn't get over it. Like, these types of situations do happen. Players do tell coaches to go straight to hell in situations where there's a high tensions, very competitive atmosphere.
Yep.
Instant results on whether or not you're doing good or not doing good. I mean, they literally keep score. So those types of situations can bring a lot of tension. So Emmanuel Sanders did something after the Tennessee Titans game that John Elway could not get past, could not get over. I would assume John Elway had been looking for a suitor for Emmanuel Sanders for a few weeks now. I would assume that John Elway in this story will come out at some point. Emmanuel Sanders has to have 2 good games for the 49ers, and the questions will come to Emmanuel Sanders, why wasn't it working in Denver? And you'll say, well, you're going to have to ask them about that. And then somebody will ask them about that. And at some point, Adam Schefter or one of these insiders will get to the bottom of it, and they'll be like, well, apparently after the Tennessee Titans game, Emmanuel Sanders threatened to smack a mother in the mouth. Something along those lines will happen. And I found it interesting that John Elway was accusing people of being selfish because literally John Elway, one of the most successful, not only businessmen, but quarterbacks of all time and quarterback businessmen of all time. Guy has 45 different car dealerships in Denver. He's making money right now while doing nothing. He's getting paid well to run a good operation out there in Denver. They're not great now, but he had success. But he started something called the Quarterback Club whenever he was in the NFL. Him, Marino, Kelly, I believe there's a couple others. And
Favre was in there.
Maybe, I don't remember. But he was like one of the leaders of this quarterback club, which is literally a slanderous term in the NFL because of how incredibly selfish they were with deals and money and everything like that. So to hear him come out and say, well, we're not going to have a selfish culture, it's like, hey, John, no offense. You're an incredible quarterback. Incredible quarterback. Talked to Terrell Davis yesterday. He talked about how that team, all they want to do is they did the Patriot way, but only for a few years. They had a 3-year run where they were doing the Patriot way before the Patriot way. He compared them to the Patriots, but he very much understood that the Patriots have been doing this for almost 2 decades, so it's on a much grander scale. But they did the Patriot way where they worked hard, attention to detail, situational football, do your job, all that stuff. I respect the hell out of John Elway, what he did on the football field, and I respect him as a businessman. But you sound a little bit like a hypocrite whenever you come out and say, oh, you can't be selfish. That's not the standard in this locker room. When literally the quarterback club is known for being an incredibly selfish group of humans. And you're the face of it almost. So that's an interesting thing. And we'll see how the Denver Broncos bounce back. But that caught my eye this morning while we were on a plane. I was like, it's funny you say that, Mr. Elway.
It's very interesting because he got very specific in a sense. I mean, intentionally brought up that there was an issue to the media for a reason, and then specifically said, after what happened at the Tennessee game, we just thought this was the best choice for everyone involved. That's a very specific reference. And then when he's asked, well, what specifically happened at the Titans game? Well, we're not going to get into that.
You just did.
Yeah, you just brought us to this point.
Excuse me. We didn't even know the Titans were involved in this. And now you're bringing us here, and now you want to elaborate. It's like
he's dabbling the carrot.
Who is that investigator? Sherlock Holmes?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He's a good one.
I sent Go-Go Gadget. Is that guy?
Inspector Gadget, yeah. That's the
Same
other one.
guy, the guy that is Go-Go Gadget Inspector Gadget?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He used to do the thing with the arms?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I did the thing with the arms to send text messages out to the people I know in that Broncos locker room because as soon as I read that, I wanted to know what the hell happened, and nobody has responded to me. This is like becoming a new thing, by the way.
Curse of having a show.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And every once in a while I'll ask a question to somebody, and they'll respond to me. They'll be like, I can't tell you what really happened. Just want to let you know I'm happy you're doing well, and if you ever want to have a beer, we can do that. I'm like, will you please just give me an exact quote? I'll say it's
So no one thank you for the 2 wins that we brought the Broncos, or that you, I mean, they'd be staring down the barrel of 0-7 right now.
Great
if it wasn't for having Joe Flacco on the podcast and him playing elite for 2 weeks.
Yeah. Something to think about.
I'm going to send more texts. I just want to let you know if you're in the Broncos locker room and I have your phone number, I'm about to be bombarding you. It's going to get to the spam thing because that is so interesting to me.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't like how we're trying to tank and we're trying to rebuild. He didn't say that at all. He said, no, we're trying to win games now. Mm-hmm. This is strictly because of what happened in this situation. Will you tell us about that situation? No. Well, so what the hell are we doing here?
What did you say you were trading?
Imagine if I was in that press conference area. I think it was a conference call. So it's on the phone, and they probably can just mute me if I'm on there. Hey, wait a minute, Mr. Elway. You can't do that. Yeah, I can. I'm the boss. All right. I guess you're right. I don't know what to tell you, but somebody needs to follow up on that.
I'm going to start a general manager's club.
I think it's just tough, too, because the public perception is that, like, you know, he's an egomaniac.
Who?
Elway.
Oh, see, I didn't know that.
Yeah, at least, you know, every time I think of Elway, I think of him being just an ass, and then when he fired John Fox, thanking himself. Like, it was like a little Freudian slip of the tongue, but you could tell, you know, it just...
What do you mean?
So they fired John Fox after he was out of town. He said, "First off, I'd just like to thank John Elway." And then he started laughing. He said, "John Elway, John Fox." Like he just I think he is an egomaniac, and I think that kind of leans in more to your point that Sanders said something he didn't like, and he's like, "All right, screw it, let's get this guy out of here."
And it's just such an interesting situation because whenever people get traded, normally both sides just try to take the high ground, right? Like, we're just trying to take the high ground here.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just move forward. It's like a breakup, right? It's like a breakup. And then ultimately, there's going to be some negative feelings, but publicly, you're always like, hey, let's just move forward here. We're both better off now. Emmanuel Sanders woke up on an undefeated team this morning. Elway now has the problem out. Let's do it. Instead, Elway almost stirs the pot a little bit and was like, oh, this guy wasn't really that good of a teammate. That's what he's alluding to whenever he says these type of things happen. Now, I have to wonder, after talking to John Lynch, by the way, for like 15 minutes before that Stanford game, he was there. His kid plays for Stanford. He was on the sideline. I got a chance to meet him for the first time. Looks like he can still play, by the way. His neck. He was all decked out in Stanford gear because he went to Stanford. His kid was going to Stanford. I mean, it was a very casual conversation with him. He used to do TV too, so he had a very good, like, he understood what I was going through and stuff like that. Cool conversation. He even knew that I thought about coming back, by the way.
Really?
He said, I want to let you know, a lot of us had conversations about whenever you thought about coming back, about potentially reaching out. I was like, that means a lot. I want to let you know that. Hey, John, I want to let you know. That means a lot. He said, I did talk to somebody who knows you, though, and they said it's probably going to take a little bit for you to pass the test. And we both had a good laugh. And I was like, yeah, probably accurate. But he was a very good guy talking to him. And he said he's building a team that he really likes, right? Like, they're really good right now. He said, we're building a team that we really like. Hasselbeck asked him about, like, hey, why's your run game working? Can you point out one particular person? And he was like, no, it's everybody. Like, everybody. The wide receivers are blocking. Like, it's a team thing. So I would wonder, when you're building something that way, if John Elway calls you and you're negotiating a deal, did John Elway tell John Lynch about the situation that happened after the Titans thing, or did he wait to release that until after the trade? That's a very interesting thing for me to think about. I would assume, because Lynch did work for the Broncos a little bit as a scout, that they had that conversation. And if it's something that Lynch was like, yeah, I can handle that, and Elway was like, no, I can't handle that, that's something that I can't wait to find out about. Like, what is Lynch like? Yeah, I'm cool with that happening. And Elway's like, no, we got to get him the hell out of here.
Well, and that would be my question, is if Elway was really, pissed at him and done with this guy, then doesn't it seem like he was almost doing him a favor by trading him to San Francisco?
Yes.
So, like, you would think maybe it's like, okay, if I really want to stick it to this guy, then I'll trade him to Cleveland or something like that. Or,
Whoa!
I mean, they stink. But
whoa! They have a bye week!
But you know what I mean? Like, I mean, you basically, you come out, you say, like, we can't win with this guy, can't do it, won't do it. And then you trade him to a team that's undefeated, and you're putting him in a good spot to go somewhere
that's like the hilarious situation of Jamie Collins with the Patriots.
Yeah.
The rumor is that he walked into a team meeting and asked to get paid or something like that, and the next day he was shipped to Cleveland.
Oh no!
Belichick was like, "Oh, is that right?" Okay, yeah, and then walks into the next team meeting and doesn't even have to say anything. He's just like, "Anybody else have any?" Just want to know if anybody else. But now he's brought him back, and Jamie Collins is having a hell of a year. Darius Butler, friend of the show, said that he thought that was going to happen. But you're 100% right. He almost helped out Emmanuel Sanders. And also, not to get lost in this thing, old Nino Diggs. Old Nino Diggs.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
From the Detroit Lions. Shipped out of town to the Seattle Seahawks. They get better. The Lions get worse somehow. Everybody in the locker room's turning against Matt Patricia. Is the world crumbling in Detroit? Not that it already hasn't. The Ford stock is plummeting. The Lions are shipping starters out of town.
Harbaugh stinks.
Harbaugh stinks. The locker room's mad at the Lions. What's Matt Patricia going to be able to do? We're going to see if he can rally troops, because it feels like that trade was one that wasn't very well received in the locker room as well.
Not at all.
Where John Elway said the locker room very much understands this trade for Emmanuel Sanders. So two different atmospheres there. It just feels like we're in a wild time in the NFL. And this is what happens whenever you're very top-heavy and very bottom. There's no middle. Much like society, the NFL has become a depiction of our society with no middle class. You're either very good or very bad. And if you're a very bad team, you're trying to do everything you can to be very good next year. And if you're a very good team, you're trying to accrue everything you can to continue to get better and better. And it seems like this year is really going to shape up well. But that Lions team, the fans all thinking right now that they absolutely stink. You think they quit? Is that what you think?
I actually do. I really do. As a fan of the Detroit Lions, this is about the time of the year when they actually have a good team. I think they're a lot like the Chargers. They're in games all game, and then they lose it. They can't find a way to win, and then they give up.
Well, I guess there's a young guy behind Nino that's a very good football player that I would assume has bought into the Matt Patricia method a little bit more.
Right.
So maybe he'll get a chance to shine. I have faith in Matt Patricia. I like Matt Patricia as a person. I think he's a very smart guy. The Lions look good early. A lot of people are saying Kurt Warner was saying they were the best team in the division. The record doesn't show that. So they're going to have to turn things around. Speaking of the Chargers, in the first hour, Tom Brady's selling his house. His trainer's selling his house. His contract's void after this year. Is Tom Brady bored with success? I think his landing spots are either the Titans for Mike Vrabel. Him in Nashville could be cool. This is if he leaves. Schefter's saying he could leave, and if Schefter speaks, a lot of people listen. The Chicago Bears, big city, terrible quarterbacks.
Yep.
Or the Los Angeles Chargers. Phillip Rivers' contract is up. He likes Los Angeles. Spanos is going to give him a percentage of the franchise. Bang, they're off and running.
Going to Hollywood.
It's a win-win-win-win-win. Absolute win-win-win there. So if he goes to the L.A. Chargers, that entire franchise is turned around immediately with the go-to charge. I buried LeBron. Talked about Tom Brady. Talked about the trades. Dallas Cowboys still a football team. Obligatory Cowboys talk here before the end of the show. It's been a Wednesday, October 23rd. You guys are the absolute best. Download Heartland Radio 2.0. One of the best interviews I've ever heard. This is the Pat McAfee Show.
That's a horrible song.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Don.
Zito, I ain't never heard a piece of shit song like that before.
I'm going down the list.
I mean, what just an absolute garbage piece of shit fucking song.
Let's see what the next option would have been.
So I should have told you this was sounding like garbage, I guess, on the other end. So they changed the source.
This would have been the second option. Ah, it was better.
Yeah, it was better. Anything was better than what you played. All right, let's read these ads, huh? Knock out this podcast for tomorrow.
Yeah.
And you can rip a couple of things that I said today, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let's do that.
And then we have a good 20-plus minutes with Donaghy. So.
Yeah, lead off with that.
Yep.
You fucking stink at music.